It's all coming to you from the Bob Wills Day celebration in Turkey, Texas. Go to bobwillsday.com. You can also follow them on Facebook at Bob Wills Day, Turkey, Texas. We will see you in Turkey, Texas for the 52nd annual Bob Wills Day celebration. Now let's play my theme song for Bob Wills Day, and that is Between the Rivers, the late great Frankie McWhorter and Leon Roush. Between the Rivers, let the dancing begin.
Between the rivers in Hall County, Texas, a brand new sound unfurled. A man didn't realize his music would reach around the world. He formed a band, the Texas Playboys, and his aha white hat and fiddle, Bob Wills was his name. Anywhere he would play, it was always a big day. From far and near, people came to hear Bob Wills and his Texas Playboys play. How I love to hear him play, I can still hear his fiddle sing. When he'd play, you knew you were listening to Bob Wills, the king of Western swing. Texas, early in the spring, his Texas Playboys pay tribute to the king of Western swing. They play and sing and laugh a lot and talk of days gone by. But when they play Faded Love, you may see them cry. Hey, just listen to them play, hear their music ring. Folks come from miles and everybody smiles when they hear the sound of their Western swing. Say, just listen to them play, hearts once more young and gay. There's no other day those Playboys play like they do in Turkey on Bob Wills Day. Howdy, friends. This is Leon Roush with the Texas Playboys. Stay tuned to Billy Bowles. He is my favorite. I can hear him from here.
It's time for Fort Worth Musical Moments. Join us now as Steve Markward takes a look at the music and the artists who made the city's vibrant musical legacy what it is today. We are on the air. Fort Worth Musical Moments. Brent Adams and Steve Markward. A couple of special guests here, and we've got a big day to talk about, Steve.
Yeah. What a catchy little snappy little tune that is. And I think Billy has made that the official theme song for Turkey, Texas, Bob Wills Day, which is actually a whole several days of festivities way out and up in the panhandle of West Texas, and so we couldn't be happier to have Billy himself on here, and then our special guest is Carly
Dumanel. Don't worry. Just
Carly Dumanel. I'm sorry. You know, people always get my name wrong, but yours is, I think I made it too hard. So Carly and Billy, thank y'all for being on. Carly is, what is your official capacity out there in Turkey?
Oh, I'm just a volunteer for the Bob Wills Day and Bob Wills Day Foundation, and a community member and fan of Western swing music.
Right. And for those of y'all that don't know, and I can't imagine anybody not knowing who Billy Bowles is, but in case you don't, Billy is is a DJ and a personality with KSSL Radio out of near Lubbock and Slayton, Texas, I think, right? Sundown, Slayton, somewhere out there in not too far from Turkey. And Billy has the wildly popular, widely syndicated, internationally famous show every Saturday morning from 10 to noon called Billy Bowles Swinging Country. And I say this all the time. I'll say it one more time because it needs to be said that Billy does as much or more than anybody to help keep our music, which is real with capital REAL, country music and Western swing out there in the forefront. And in doing so, you're bringing in a lot of new fans, I know. And of course, you got your faithful that tune into you no matter where they are, wherever they go. You've got them tuning in every Saturday morning. And I know, Brent, you syndicate Billy's show as well. So anyway, having said all of that, thank y'all for being here. Brent, you can take back over.
Excellent. Well, thank you for joining us. We've got a good crowd here that has jumped on to join us here. Make sure you drop your name in the comment section. Let us know where you are checking in from here. And if you got any questions, dump those in here too. Billy, it's big doings getting ready here for Turkey, Texas next week. And, this thing gets bigger and bigger every year.
Well, it's the 52nd annual, so that tells you something right off the bat, doesn't it?
Right. Absolutely, it does.
And it's wildly popular. People by the thousands come in from literally all over the world, many foreign countries. People show up. There's usually a big group of English people that show up. People come from everywhere and throughout the United States to a town that's, just a little over 400, I believe. And it becomes thousands and thousands for several days. And then by Sunday afternoon, it's back to the little bitty town of Turkey, right?
So tell us about your earliest recollections of going to this festival and what it's meant to you.
Well, the first time I went, I wanted to go, before I ever got to, but I was too young when it first started. And then I was in the Army, but once I got out of the Army, and actually one year while I was still in the Army, I started going to Turkey, and it became a habit. I went 13 years in a row before I ever had to miss one. And anytime I do miss one, I'm in a very foul mood, let me tell you. But I've had to miss very few. I've been 40-something of them. So once I started going, it's very addictive because it becomes a family reunion, doesn't it? I mean, people you see once a year and you look forward to seeing them and catching up with them, and you'll make friends every single time you go, I promise you.
And Carly, how special has that been to you to kind of forge those relationships and watch this thing grow over the years?
So it's amazing because I'm a relative newcomer to Turkey, Texas. I've only been here for about 7 years. But we have volunteers that have been a part of this organization that have been helping put it on since, they were in high school and now they're in their 60s. And my favorite thing to watch is when people end up at Lacey Dry Goods and have watched families grow up. Like we have visitors that come to town and they go to their favorite spots in town just so they can see how much the little kids have grown this year, or they go see their favorite vendor at the mercantile to see what's happened to them over the year. And so we live all these lives throughout the entire year, but at the last weekend of April, we come back together and we check in with each other, and it's all happening because of Bob Wills, Western Swing Music, and Turkey, Texas.
I love that. And I caught this picture that showed up on social media earlier this week. This was courtesy of the Bob Wills Fiddle Festival and Contest. Well, I take it back. This one was shared by the Bob Wills Day here. This was Bob Wills at the very first Bob Wills Day. How special is that? Can you imagine what there's no way he could have imagined what this thing has turned into.
Well, when you think about those very, very early days, and I actually just posted something this morning on our Facebook page, thinking about those people, the Setlifts, the Townsends, the Proctors, those people in the Turkey community that realized that they needed to start this celebration while Bob could still know how proud we were of him in Turkey, I don't think that they thought that maybe we'd still be doing it this big 52 years later, but they knew how special Bob Wills and Western swing music in Turkey, Texas was. And without all of them coming together, we wouldn't know each other. We wouldn't get to be celebrating all this.
Well, I know Steve and I touched on this a little bit in our preview video yesterday, but how encouraging is that when you talk about all the young kids and young families who are involved, knowing that that's going to perpetuate this genre of music for many years to come?
I think Billy can definitely attest to this. Over the last couple of years, one of my favorite things, especially kind of since the 50th, is we have people that have been coming for decades or years. They've had their 30, 40 year anniversaries coming to Bob Wills Day. But the new faces that we're seeing, the first timers, the second timers, this is my 5th year, and the people that they're bringing in, this genre of music has influenced all the new music that people are listening to these days. And people are starting to make those connections back to the music that started it all. And that's been fabulous for us, knowing that we can keep this going for years to come.
You know, the thing about that music is when you introduce somebody to it, they didn't realize that they've heard it before, you know, and a lot of people, I think Jason Roberts says that actually in my brother's documentary film, where he goes, people come up to him and said, I didn't even realize how much I loved this music until I heard it again. And, you know, and it gets in their blood and you know, that was that way for me, because I remember in high school, one of the standard issue albums that we listened to, besides Redheaded Stranger and Jerry Jeff Walker's Viva Terlingua and all those albums, but right in there was Bob Wills For the Last Time. We listened to that a lot. And then, you know, time goes on, and then my brother gets involved and immerses himself way deep into Western swing to the point where he's going to polka dances and stuff like that. And he started taking me to these festivals, and I'm like, yeah, this music, I remember this. And pretty soon something's happening. I'm tapping my foot and, you know, getting out there and dancing, you know, and it's just it's so infectious, it really is.
And next thing you know, you're recording Western swing albums.
And then I after going to a bunch of those festivals and saying, okay, I can't, you know, if I'm going to perform this, there's a lot of other people that can do a better job than I can at San Antonio Rose and Faded Love. So let's write some new music. And that's kind of what we set out to do. Yeah. And to continue to try to do that and contribute our part to a growing genre. So.
Oh, how fun. Yeah, that's also one of my favorite things. We get to hear the standards, and we get to listen to them played in several different ways by whether it's Jason Roberts playing it at the historic outdoor concert, or it's at a campground. I've heard people play these songs for the first time. That's always really neat. But now, you know, we've also got people playing and performing at Bob Wills Day that are writing new Western swing music. And that's how we keep this going for another 50 years is we have new music, we have the old music, and we have it all coming together in one place, just making the world better.
Well, if you think about it, that's what made this music so wildly popular when it first came out in the 30s. Besides the fact that it was lifting people up in a time that they needed lifting in the Great Depression, but this music, like Carrie Janelle, the great historian, contributor to the film, my brother's film, says that it was a sponge. Western swing was picking up influences from everywhere, you know, picking, you know, what Milton Brown and those guys were doing when Bob Wills came to Fort Worth that fateful night and happened in on that house party and heard Milton Brown and what he was performing. All he was doing was performing stuff he was hearing coming out of New York and Chicago, like, you know, the Louis Armstrong, that old Louis Armstrong, the Hot Five stuff. And King Oliver and those jazz pioneers. And so he was playing that and swinging that and emulating that. And then Bob Wills comes in from Turkey, Texas, and decides that he needed to come to Fort Worth to get more exposure. Mm-hmm. And they happened to come together that one night on that house party. And Bob Wills had picked up all these influences just working out in the cotton fields of West Texas with the Hispanic and the African-American influences. And they just, that night they got together and kind of collided, so to speak. And little did they know, they invented a whole genre of music. You know, it was that old swing music without the horns. basically.
Yeah. Well, and I'm real lucky. I get to hang out with and I'm friends with quite a few people that play modern country music or Texas country music or in Nashville or whatnot. And they'll talk about Bob Wills just as much as the people that are playing traditional Western swing music talk about him. And they say, "Hey, I don't play Western swing, but you hear that fiddle in my band? That's because I grew up listening to Bob Wills music, and you've got to have a fiddle if you want a robust sound in your band." And so when I get to listen to people that are making, modern music, that are doing all of these incredible things, taking that legacy of putting different kinds of music together to make new and interesting music, it's amazing. And then I get to listen to people like, Georgia Parker write new Western swing music.
Right. And
all the world.
Go ahead.
Oh, I was just saying best of all the worlds in my case.
Yeah. We experienced that. And so when my brother took me to Nashville a few years ago, and we were interviewing, we spent the afternoon with Vince Gill at the old Ryman Auditorium to interview him for Mike's film. And we thought, oh gosh, he's going to come in there and he's going to be busy and he'll give us, a few minutes. We stayed for like 3 hours. Yeah. And we had the whole place to ourselves, and that was a real memorable day. But Vince, got really, really excited talking about that and saying, I kind of forgot how much I miss those days. And he said, the greatest thrill I ever had, and I'm telling you, to this day, was playing at Kane's Ballroom in Tulsa, which was, Bob Wills' home base for years. He goes, that was, and you'll ask my band members that are still with me, they still talk about that night. And so we went to Kane's Ballroom to do some filming there as well. And we're back in the green room, and there's pictures of all these people that have played at Kane's, including, everybody from Elvis Costello to Merle Haggard to, talk about a smorgasbord of varieties of music. And the manager told me, I said, Green Day, they played here. And I said, that's interesting. He goes, yeah, interesting thing. You should bring them up. He goes, Billy Joe Armstrong, the leader of Green Day, they're a kind of a punk, alternative rock band, but they come out there and Billy Joe Armstrong walks out with a poster of Bob Wills and sets it by his amp. Mm-hmm. He said, my grandmother and my mother both love Bob Wills, so I grew up on Bob Wills, so I feel like I should pay homage to him while we're in his house. So I thought that was really cool.
Yeah. It's neat. It's just like how people from around the world show up in Turkey, Texas. These musicians have taken the spirit of Western swing music and taken it to the rest of the world. And we get to enjoy a little bit of them coming back home last weekend in April.
Well, and I think my point, what I was trying to make a point, and then I'll let everybody else talk, but you were talking about writing new music, and what I was getting at was when this music started, it was evolving rapidly, and that was made it so interesting and so fresh and so new and drew people to it. So I think if it's going to continue to evolve and continue to come back to the forefront, you got to continue to evolve it. And by coming up with new music, new versions, new songs, and experiment, bring some new things in there. Don't get crazy. Always stay foundationally hooked to what makes Western swing. But it's we'll like to step out there and do a few things, and experiment a little bit and maybe further that music along and make it fresh where people will keep coming back to it. We can gain new audiences, younger audiences.
Yeah.
Well, Steve, earlier you brought up For the Last Time, the great Bob Wills album, and one of the players on that album, a couple memorable cuts on there, is the great Jody Nix, and he's going to be featured here at the at Bob Wills Day. We've got a video queued up that was done here back last November at the Cowtown Birthplace of Western Swing Festival, and I wanted to roll that one here.
Well, roll on.
Thank you, Mr. MC, for the nice introduction. Thank you, Mike Marquardt. All your staff for having us to come play for you. It's a cool November night. I want you to dance, have a good time. I'm going to have one with you or without you. So just get ready, would you? Yeah. Here's one for Larry and Kate Brooks. Come all the way from South Dakota to be down here with us tonight. One called Somewhere Out in Texas. I guarantee you, I've been somewhere out in Texas. gambling fever. I went out alone to chase my dreams. In my sleep each night, her face still haunts me. Now I find my dreams are chasing me. And tonight, somewhere out in Texas, we're dancing to a Bob Wills song. And my heart lies somewhere out in Texas. And Texas is calling me home. Call her home, Rick, yeah. I've traveled many miles and many highways, always searching for the rainbow's end. And now I know it's waiting in my own backyard. I'm heading home for Texas once again. Sing it, boys. And tonight, somewhere out in Texas, they're dancing to a Bob Wills song. I guarantee that. And my heart lies somewhere out in Texas. And Texas is calling me home. And Texas is calling me home. All right. Thank you. Thank you very, very much. All right. Like that, do you? Want a little more?
If you want to hear more, you're going to have to get to Turkey, Texas next week.
That guy's one of the hardest working men in the business. He's playing somewhere, during COVID. He never slowed down at all. He plays somewhere just about every night.
Steve, we got another hardworking guy here who's going to pop on right now. Check
Uh-oh.
this guy out.
Hello, it's Mike Markward live from Waco, Texas.
You're in Waco?
I'm here in town for the big Baylor Michael Johnson Classic Invitational track and field meet. Hello, Carly.
Hi,
Hello.
Mike.
Hello, Billy.
Hi, good morning.
Hey, Mike, and that track meet is coming to you from the Markward Press Box at the track stadium at Baylor University.
That's right. That's right.
I tell people all the time, yeah, that's my deal. No. No, that's quite an honor that you got bestowed upon you there. I'm sure it was because of your pole vaulting prowess.
No, I think it was because I just wrote a big check, probably.
Well, I tell you what, the birth and history of Western Swing is going to have a prominent place next week in Turkey, Texas. Tell us about it.
Yes. You want me to talk about it?
Yeah, well, that's why we got you here, man.
I'm sure Carly can add a lot more than what I know, but I just know that this year marks the 52nd year of the Bob Wills Day in Turkey, Texas. And we're just excited to screen our documentary film at 2 p.m. on Friday of the weekend there in Turkey at the historic Gem Theater, which Carly and Pat Carson have just worked wonders along with the help of the local bank there. What's the name of that bank?
the First National Bank of Kittiquay is helping us keep the place open for the weekend.
Yes, yes. And so we're so glad they've restored this grand old theater, and they've actually purchased a fairly new projector, and we're going to screen the final version of the documentary. Last year we showed just a kind of a semi-final, but this one's got all the greatest photos and film clips in it. So, and then you've got all these bands topped by the great Jody Nix Saturday night. He's played there for, I think, something like
this is his 48th year.
48th out of 52. Unbelievable.
It's amazing.
So let Carly, she can tell you a lot more, but I just know it's called the Super Bowl of Western Swing, or the granddaddy of Western Swing festivals.
Well, we love everything that we do, but we can only do so much. So when we have people like Mike that have put time and energy and effort and probably a considerable amount of money into putting things together like the birth and history of Western Swing, the film, and then bring it to our community so that we can share it with our audiences. I mean, that is just incredible for us. We're not capable of doing that. And to be able to welcome him into our community and screen this film is just absolutely phenomenal. We'll be showing it at 2 p.m., like you said, on Friday at the Gym Theater. We're also going to have Bob Wills Films playing on Saturday, just kind of in and out and come on in. And then I think my favorite part about the screening film is always when they do the question and answer portion afterwards, because you can tell that people are just hungry for this information and to learn more and to figure out, well, just like you said, how did you get Vince Gill to talk on camera? How did you, all of these sorts of things. So we know that not everybody that comes to our event can go to every other Western Swing event or make it to y'all's incredible event that you guys do in November. So the fact that you take the time and put the effort in to come into Turkey, Texas and share what you've done with our crowd is amazing.
Yes. And I just want to applaud what Carly does. She and Pat Carson and Pat's wife just work tireless hours to bring this whole weekend of events. It's almost a week-long events. It's at least 4 days long, and just the whole town of Turkey steps up. All the citizens just welcome these folks in town, and it's just a great old West Texas Plains town that's got a lot of pride and tradition, and a bunch of good old cowboys and farmers and ranchers, and it's just a wonderful place. And Carly, we just applaud your efforts.
Well, just like I was talking about how before you hopped on, Mike, we're talking about how we're seeing our crowd get younger and younger because more people are coming to this music. Again, I'm a relative newcomer to Bob Wills. Pat has been volunteering for decades. Lisa Campbell, our foundation president, has been volunteering for decades. We have this wonderful new crew of volunteers that are in their 20s. Peyton and Ben Johnsrid, Jose Valdez, Rob Kellick, Peyton Byers. Like, it's just, they're all in their 20s, and they all are here supporting the community and supporting Western Swing. And because we have people like them, and we have people like you, Mike, bringing in new things for our guests to get to enjoy and do, we didn't have to stop at 50 years. We're in our 52nd year, and I'm pretty sure we're going to do this for another 50 years, and somebody else will come along and do a video. Well, they'll probably do like a hologram at that point when they're talking about this 50 years from now. But, we all come together because we all just love the music in Turkey, Texas.
We laugh at that holographic technology is there now. And I was talking to a lady that's doing some experimental stuff, and she approached us as a record label and as a representative of the TV network to talk about doing an interactive thing with our studio, the TV network studio, and they've got the capability now to where they can put Bob Wills on stage with you.
It's crazy.
The hologram. I mean, it's kind of scary. So I can't wait to see that demonstrated. But of course, you got to have. I'm sure there's licensing issues and all that you have to overcome. But still, that technology is upon us now. But let's talk real quick about going back in time, because Billy, you and I were talking earlier about the beginnings of this thing, and you had made some interesting comments about what this thing used to be like way back in the 70s. You want to speak to that? Because you made a reference to it, and we kind of laughed and said it was kind of like the redneck Woodstock or something like that.
I have affectionately called Turkey Bob Wills Day Redneck Woodstock for a long time. And when I first started going, in many respects it was. And I'm sure you've heard a lot of the stories, Carly, yourself probably, about way back when the college crowds would all gather at the city park, fill that riverbank full there of water, and they would have tug of war matches. They would have mud wrestling. There would be jumping motorcycles and bikes. I mean, it got wild and crazy back in those days. And I was in that age group at that time, but I always stayed up at the school with the older folks because I actually came to Turkey for the music. I did venture to the park on occasion, but I came for the music. I mean, I was hooked, and I stayed hooked. But young people have always come, but nowadays it's a lot different than it was at that time, because the younger folks that are coming today are normally rural kids for the most part, and they've grown up with traditional country music and Western swing, and they find themselves getting immersed into it. And, several years back, I think he was probably, I'm going to estimate, probably 88 at that time. Leon Roush, I went up to talk to him in the school, and he said, "Come go with me." He wanted to get away from the crowd, and we went out to his car, and he wanted to talk to me about two things in particular. One was thanking me for nominating him for his Lifetime Achievement Award with the AWA, but the main thing he wanted to talk to me about, he said, "I want you to make me a promise." I said, "What's that, Leon?" He said, "That you will do anything and everything that you can to keep this music alive." And he pointed at Mickey Daniel that was standing outside, and Jack Phillips and some of these younger folks. He said, "Play those kids, encourage them, promote them." Said, "Do anything you can to keep this going." And because he said, "I know I'm going to die soon." And he did just a few years later. But he said, "We got to keep it going." And that's key, because when I first started going to these festivals, I made a lot of friends out there that are now gone. I mean, more and more people were dying off each year. But now as Carly pointed out, we're getting new crops of people that are coming, and they discover they really enjoy it, and they come back next year and the next year. And it like I said, it's practically addictive.
Yeah, I'm really impressed with how international it is too. My very first Bob Wills Day back in 2016, when I took my father and wheeled him around in a wheelchair there on the football field for the big daytime concert, I met people from Tokyo, Japan, the Netherlands, let's see, Germany, Scotland, Ireland. There's just a huge following of Bob Wills fans that want, it's like returning to their mecca of Western swing, to come back every year to celebrate this great man's life and music. And didn't Billy Bob Wills himself come to the very first 1973 Bob Wills Day, I believe? Yeah,
yes, I wasn't there, but yes, he came, I believe, the first two.
That's that's he and Betty right there at the very first one, I think, in 73.
Yeah. He I mean, as Carly pointed out before you got on, Mike, that before Bob died, he knew that the town appreciated him, that they loved him, and was carrying it on. So
yes,
that's an honor.
We feature a little segment in our documentary film about Turkey, Texas, and Bob Wills Day. We actually expanded it. Carly, you'll be excited to see it this year. We've got more footage of that in the film. So anyway, it's just a wonderful event.
And I have to speak a little bit, since we brought up the the tractor pulls and my favorite stories that I hear about how they used to use cotton trailers as little jails for you to spend a little time to sober up before you headed off to your next event. I love this. I love kind of where we are at our evolution of Bob Wills Day right now, is that this is an all ages event. You've got people with their young kids at the Saturday parade. You've got the teenagers that have finished up, what they're doing for track. That's kind of what happens around here this time of year. Speaking of track, Mike, but they'll come to the dances on Friday night after they get done at school, and then we've got college kids that come in that do have fun. They still have lots of fun, and then we have all the way up until wheeling people around, enjoying their Bob Wills days. Even if it's here for everybody nowadays. There's something for everybody, and we get to keep it centered around the music and around the community and the fellowship and the legacy. And so it's a really great time for Bob Wills Day in its evolution and what it's been over the years.
I like the fact that you have the youth involved with this Bob Wills Fiddle Festival or fiddle contest that goes on Saturday morning. That is fantastic.
You guys, we are so lucky this year. The fiddle contest has always been amazing. But this year, our friends Corey and Corey Moulter and Rafterell Farms, Motley Farms, and Schwartz Farms, they've come together and put together a pool of prize money that is some of the best prize money for a fiddle contest across the state. And so we're sure hoping that draws in a lot of good players. But the age division starts at 13 and under. And we have a junior grand champion and a senior grand champion, because this is not just about us enjoying the day. This is about setting the foundation for music for years to come.
It was funny. You have such a variety of people that come out there. A couple of years ago, my wife and I convinced my wife to come to Turkey. She goes, "I'll come one time. I'll come." She's kind of a city slick. Her idea of roughing it is no cable TV, right?
I get that.
And so we, at the last minute, our next door neighbor, who is very cosmopolitan, wears, the latest designer clothes. She goes, "Oh, I want to go." And I'm like, "Oh Lord, this is going to be like Zsa Zsa Gabor, remember in Green Acres or whatever." And so next thing you know, they come pulling up. They were smart. They took their own car. They didn't ride with Mike and I, especially with Mike driving. But they show up, and here's Jenny. You remember Mike? Jenny's in these capri pants and stiletto heels out there.
And she's saying, "Where's the spa?"
Where's this? Yeah, she goes, "Can I get an appointment at the spa?" And I'm like, "Well, yeah." I wanted to tell her, call Hotel Turkey and see if they can work you in. But by the end of that deal, she had more fun. I'll tell you, one of the highlights for her is she got to ride in the back of a truck in the parade and she still talks about how much fun she danced all. I think, Billy, you got a few dances in with her, didn't you? Jenny, remember her?
Not really.
Danced with a lot of ladies over the years.
Believe me, Billy would have remembered. She was a tall drink of water, and she would have towered over him. Yeah. Another thing that I like about Bob Wills Day weekend is that fabulous museum. Carly, tell us about that museum.
So we're, I've been a part of this community for a little while, and I actually saw the museum years and years ago on another adventure. But when you come to our little museum here in Turkey, Texas, you're going to be surprised at how well it's put together. And we have a wonderful volunteer, Sandy Ward, that helps keep it open and make sure it looks nice. And Dawn Turner, who many people know through Bob Wills Day. If you can corner Don and get him to tell you Bob Wills facts, there's not a person in this world that knows more about Bob Wills than Don Turner. So our museum is wonderful. We have an open jam where if you want to come play music, there's still some spots open. You can head over to our Facebook page and sign up. But it's really a hub, not just during Bob Wills Day, but throughout the year. We've got one of those maps like you put up where with the pins of all the people around the world, and we're running out of space on that map for where people are from.
I'd like to talk to her about taking little snippets of my film like the early Bob Wills days, and then maybe the Turkey, Texas story. Have those two little kiosks inside the museum where people could just push a button and then watch the 6-7 minutes video of that part of the film would be really a cool addition.
Kind of like what old Mike McMahon did at Colonial on Ben Hogan, right?
Exactly. I would love to try to donate that to the museum if we could.
Done. We'll make it happen. That would be an incredible addition to our offerings. And I would be remiss too. I talked about Rafter L. Mike is bringing stuff to it. We've got the volunteers that help make this possible. We've got the musicians that keep coming, like Jody and Jason and Jake, and then we've got the guests that keep showing up. But one of the neatest things that we've had happen over the last couple of years is these sponsors. Some of them have ties to the community, like our First National Bank sponsor. Some of them are just people that believe in the music that aren't even from Turkey, Texas. Like my big sponsor for the entire event is Michelob Ultra and Budweiser Distributing of Amarillo. The Morrison family in Amarillo believed in the music and believe in rural America and what small town fellowship means. And for the last 4 years, they have given us not a small amount of money to make sure that we don't have to up our prices so much that it makes it hard for people to come. We get to keep the outdoor concert free with help from Turkey Creek HDD. And, these are people that are helping us keep this event going in ways that we might not be able to. We need the people to show up. We need the musicians to keep playing the music. But it's not cheap to put this event on. And without people like Michelob Ultra and Budweiser and all these guys that come together, we might not be having this conversation. And so that's my plug. If you do pick up a beverage during Bob Wills Day, make a Michelob Ultra. And if you see anybody that's helped put this on, like Billy comes and spends all his time in Turkey, Texas during these days, and Mike has put his money where his mouth is and helping us do some scholarship stuff. Shake the hands of the people that are helping make this possible so that we can all keep having fun.
Yeah, these things just don't happen.
No, they don't. We wish they did.
Mike knows that because he puts on a huge festival every year in Fort Worth in November. And I've seen, just by watching him, he's working on that. If he's not working on the film, he's working on that year round. It's like
I may bring a few of my flyers to Turkey to try to sell some tickets.
Hey, what's good for the goose is good for the gander in Western swing music.
Yes.
What's cool though is
I might also add that Steve is a major investor to the American Country Network. It's a brand new television network that's going to kind of compete with CMT, but it's going to be more rooted in the traditional classic country music, and Western swing is a big part of that. And Carly, what would be really cool is a show inside that network that Steve's helping produce I think it's called Small Town Sound or something like that.
Sound,
yeah, Small Town Sound. It would be so cool. That small town this Turkey, Texas story would fit great in that show, I think.
Yeah, we want to get a film crew out there. It's a little early this year. We're still working on our pilot, but I can bet you next year, I can assure you that we're going to have a film crew out there capturing the essence of that, because I think that plays well on TV. It'll get the word out to and these guys. This network was started by 3 different executives, and they all come from strong backgrounds of either music production. One's a record label owner. The other was the CEO of the Country Network. Another one came from CMT, and then one left Circle TV, which Circle TV has just shut their doors, which is one man's downfall is another's opportunity. So we find that the timing of this new network is great, and one thing that it's going to be wholesome family entertainment. We've got principles that we all are locked into that we want the network to reflect. And so going out there and covering what's going on in Turkey and bringing that to the world, we've got plans by the end of year 1, we should have at least 50 million households.
Yeah, Steve, that's the name of that show, Small Town Sound, would just fits Turkey, Texas perfectly, you know. So
yeah,
Well,
yeah.
we like to say, you know, because I'm here however many days in a year there are. I'm here year round, and we like to say that you know, Bob Wills is changed the face of country music. He changed the face of America doing what he did. And there's something about this place, Turkey, Texas, that helped inspire that, helped feed that, helped grow that. He took it to Fort Worth and Tulsa and grew it into what it is. But that spirit that fed Bob Wills early on still is here in Turkey, Texas. We have music in Turkey year round. Every weekend of the year, there is music in Turkey, not just at the hotel, but we had the Slab here in town. The Church of Western Swing is a great partner of the foundation this year. We're doing the official after party of the Bob Wills Day is at the Church of Western Swing, because we only go so late. But those Church of Western Swingers, they don't have a bedtime. I guess they're going till 1:30 this morning. But that spirit exists in Turkey year round, and that would be an incredible boost to our community to be even considered to be a part of something so cool that y'all are doing.
Well, I think it's definitely very realistic, and we'll work on that and make sure that happens, because that's the essence of this show. You know, the basis of the show is to show what it's like to be in the studio with a producer like Kurt Ryle, who's, like I said earlier, has produced everyone, especially in the golden era of country music. And now he's working with these young artists and trying to bring them along. And we're writing and producing a lot of traditional country and Western swing numbers for these young artists. And every time when they get introduced to it and they get behind the microphone, they just fall in love with it.
Mm-hmm. So, it's fun to sing. Can't deny that.
Really is.
Well, one of the big artists here, we mentioned Jody Nix earlier. We'd be remiss if we also, and Carly mentioned in passing, we got the great Jake Hooker, his band, going to be coming up as well. And, you know, you couldn't have this festival without this guy and these guys and gals, and great Bob Wills and Texas Playboys under the direction of Jason Roberts.
And we're bringing in 2 new groups this year as well. Again, excited about that, continuing the legacy into next generations. We've got the Georgia Parker Swing Band opening up for Jake Hooker. And Jake, if everybody, just so everybody knows, Jake has moved to Thursday this Bob Wills Day, because gosh darn it, he's got to be inducted into the Texas Cowboy Rodeo, or the Texas Rodeo Cowboy Hall of Fame on Saturday night. You know, we just are so proud of him for that. Hot Club of Cowtown is going to be opening up for Jason Roberts and the Texas Playboys on Friday night. And then as always, the South Plains Western Swing Band, those college kids that are playing that Western Swing music, will be starting off the night for Jody Nix on Saturday. So there's a few faces. We'll have Billy Mata back soon. We might have to add a 4th day, you guys. There's just so many good people playing Western swing music these days.
I'd like to throw my hat in the ring and get my A-list band out there. I've got the great Carl Vaughn, who's putting a whole new band together with just top-notch players. So we'll be raring to go. So we'll have to talk about it.
Let's figure it out.
Steve's band would be great at the Slab or Hotel Turkey or wherever. Steve's band is awesome. And I can't wait to hear Whit Smith and Elena James and that fabulous Cowtown, what is it called? Hot Club of Cowtown. They are fantastic. And Georgia Parker, I've heard her before. She is a tremendous talent out of Austin, Texas. And then we can't forget about the great Billy Mata. Is he coming back this year?
Well, Billy. We had some scheduling conflicts with Billy, but Billy is one of the best to do it, and so we can't wait to have him back soon. He's joined us for many years, and he'll be back, and so we'll have the Texas tradition back soon.
Billy's doing this Ray Price tribute thing. I think he's pretty hooked into that. In fact, I was talking to Allison Phillips, Jack's mom, last night about
well, and the Allison Phillips, that's a great example too. They do a Western swing camp here in Turkey, Texas, in the summer. So if you see Allison out and about, ask her if she's got any more spots for the music camp, because we use the Bob Wills Center, and we partner with them, the Gym Theater, for that event too, keeping the kids learning.
Well, that's a good segue, because she is going to be our guest here in a couple of weeks, and we're going to be talking about that camp, and we're going to be talking about the future and how we perpetuate this. So thank you for that segue.
Carly, if you have time, tune in.
Yeah, of course I will.
Or jump back on with us or whatever.
We're just very fortunate as a foundation. We offer up our facilities free of charge in the Gym Theater, so that they can practice, and they practice in the museum, in the press room, the actual Bob Wills Center as well, and then they perform at the Gym Theater or the Bob Wills Center, depending on the size of the camp. And it's a blessing for us to be able to be a small part of that camp. Allison does such a great job putting that together.
Well,
so if someone still wants to, they hadn't made their plans yet, I mean, are they pretty much out of luck as far as accommodations anywhere within the 50-mile radius there, or is there?
So if you're talking about in Turkey, Texas, you're slim pickings a week out. There, you might be able to find an RV spot. You might be able to find a place to pitch your tent. I know, mostly because I know wear my different hats. There might be a room or two on Thursday night, just Thursday night, at the Hotel Turkey. But if you're looking for something for 3 or 4 days, you're going to be going into Childress or Plainview, road tripping back and forth, which it's not a terrible drive. That's where we go grocery shopping. And so, yeah, so we're getting pretty full.
Billy and I are both staying in Childress, so.
Well, and you guys, if we could, I told them before we got on earlier, if I could have just a little pop-up hotels that were here for one weekend, we'd fill up this place even more. But we're excited for all the people we can take care of.
You ought to do what they do in Japan, have those little sleeping capsules.
Oh, we have cowboys come and pitch tents, like literal teepees, during Bob Wills Day. I love it. People bring their living quarter horse trailers as well. If there's a will, there's a way to enjoy Western swing music.
It's such a fun time.
I just love all the dancing too, and you see authentic West Texas cowboys out on that dance floor, and they know how to dance. I love it. And probably one of the finest dancers you'll see in Turkey, Texas is Billy Bowles. You've got to watch him dance. He's amazing.
Billy's kind of a song and dance man.
Yeah.
Well, Billy, earlier in the show, you mentioned Leon Rouse's challenge to you to keep this thing moving forward. And another guy who was challenged to keep things moving forward is Jason Roberts. Talk about his impact on this, and we're going to lead that into a video as we kind of close things out, a performance that he had here back in November at the Cowtown Birthplace of Western Swing Festival.
Well, as a matter of fact, I had conversation with both Leon Rouse and Larry Ray Reed. They were telling me about when they decided to turn the torch over to Jason Roberts, that they were traveling from somewhere, and they all got to talking about it because Leon's health was getting pretty bad. So he wanted to pass the torch. He wanted somebody to keep the Bob Wills Texas Playboys name alive. And they all agreed that they felt like the obvious choice was Jason Roberts. And he was a great choice because he played the part of Bob Wills in that play, A Ride with Bob, that Asleep at the Wheel would put on. And I never did get to see that play, but I've seen clips of it and everything. Well, actually, you think about it, Jason has studied Bob his entire life. Right. And he was trained by Johnny Gimble, who was his uncle by marriage. So, right. He was a perfect fit, and he plays the part excellent. He is carrying on the tradition in absolute true fashion. And he's doing a fantastic job with it. I've been playing the heck out of their new CD in promotion of this event. So my hat's off to all of them, because they're keeping it alive, and they keep the Bob Wills music alive. And that's one thing Dr. Townsend was insistent on. It's Bob Wills Day, and it's Bob Wills music, and
Right.
and you know, and that's what they're doing.
Well, earlier Steve mentioned the For the Last Time album. That's how this album kicks off. That's how they kick off their shows, and we're going to share this with you right now. This will get you ready for next week. Check this out.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is with great pride and great honor that I can say to you tonight that Texas Playboys are on the air.
If you want to know who we are, we're the Texas Playboys from the Lone Star State. And if you like the way we play, listen while we try to say, we're the Texas Playboys from the Lone Star State. And all day long, we'll sing this song. If you get this song, you can't go wrong. And I wear a smile, make it right, make it happen for more than night. We're the Texas Playboys from the Lone Star State. Get back on the drums. Al Quaid on the bass pedal. Call me Jay Bird.
Wow. You just watch that and you just get lost in the artistry.
And you know, Bob Wills himself always started every dance with that song, South, right, Billy?
Yes. Yeah, that was always the kickoff song. Got that floor filled up in a hurry.
Yep. Yep. And that's cool how Jason carries on that tradition right down to every minute detail.
Yes. Yes.
And also watching Katie Shore's joy when she plays makes me happy.
Yeah.
Got those triple fiddles going there.
How great.
She'll be out in Turkey, Texas this year too.
Love it. Make sure you get out there and check them all out. Before we get out of here, Carly, anything else that we're not thinking of that we better throw in there?
Well, I would just like to say thank you to all of y'all. We're just a tiny little town here in Turkey, Texas, and it is all of the energy that y'all put out into the world that keeps this going and keeps the people coming in. So we appreciate everything that you do. Thank you for continuing to talk about the music and inviting me on. Billy, thank you. Mike, thank you. Steve, I can't wait to meet you in person. Brent, thank you. And we'll just keep doing our part if y'all keep doing yours, and we'll keep this all going.
And I might add how Carly can, our listeners and our viewers and all of us, donate to the Bob Wills Foundation there in Turkey.
So I guess I should probably put my phone number out there. No, you just holler at me. Head over to our Facebook. Our Facebook is the best way to like keep up with what's going on or all the things that we have going on. I will put my how can I do that? No, I can't. I will put my email address somewhere so that y'all can reach out to me. We will be over the next little bit. We'll be talking about some renovations that we plan on that gymnasium to keep the music going, some much needed repairs. And so you guys just stay tuned, especially on our Facebook, or reach out to me. Come find the redhead at the hotel and we'll talk and figure it out.
Which email address do you want them to use? We'll throw it on the screen right now.
Carly, Carley, at carley.us.
All right, here it comes.
Thanks, sir.
Maybe.
She's
there
got
you go. Take a screenshot of that and make sure you go reach out to her. Send a few bucks the way of the Bob Wills Day.
And Carly, please promise me a dance in Turkey.
You tear me away from that fryer at the hotel, I'd be happy to dance with. That sounds like a lot more fun than frying fish.
Okay.
And Steve, we'd be remiss if this is un-Bob Wills related, but it's very Texas related. This comes from Ron Harmon of the Country Music Hall of Fame in Nashville. He gives the great RCA Studio B tours there. And it was on this day in 1965, April 19th, 1965, that the great Ernest Tubb recorded Waltz Across Texas at RCA Studio B. So a historic day here. And you and I were kind of talking about this off air here a couple of days ago. When you think about Ernest Tubb growing up there in Crisp, Texas, and then you've got Bob Wills in Turkey, Texas, those guys coming from those little small towns in Texas, what they saw and what those towns, Carly, as you pointed out, what it instilled in them to drive them to do what they did is nothing short of amazing.
Well, and you want to, I got to throw in there because I just saw it at the Country Music Hall of Fame. Cindy Walker in Mahia, I mean, it's just incredible what rural small town America helped give the rest of the world.
Well, there's something in the water out there in West Texas because you had Waylon Jennings who came from, where was he from?
He's from Littlefield.
What?
Littlefield.
Yep. Littlefield.
Yep.
Yeah. And then you have, of course,
Ron Williams was born down the road in Floydada.
Yeah, and old Buddy Holly, who started out country and kind of was one of the pioneers of rock and rolls from Lubbock, and then
Mac Davis
and Roy Orbison, Wink, Texas, I think.
We gotta share this, Steve, when you talk about Roy Orbison, because this was the one. This was the clip from the Fiddle Festival and contest earlier this week. Check out the names on there.
Heck yeah!
Wow.
Carl Perkins, Bob Wills, and Texas Playboys. Man, what a concert! If you could go back in time, that'd be a good place to go.
Tickets $1.25, $1.50 at the door.
Roy Orbison was actually born in Vernon, Texas, and moved to Wink, Texas.
Did he? Okay.
Yeah.
Vernon's just right down the road too.
Well, I have to. Okay, so Mike knows what a huge fan I am of this guy. And this is way off color here, so bear with me. Put that picture back up of Bob at the very first Turkey, Texas deal.
Yes.
Betty.
Will do. Where did that go now? You put me on the spot. There you go.
Okay, I got real excited because just for a second I thought
that was Bob Dylan.
Yeah, go back now. Come back on and show me. I thought that was. I thought Bob Wills and Bob Dylan are hanging out. That's awesome. I should have known better.
I wouldn't have doubted if their paths didn't cross somewhere down the line.
Well, I know that Dylan pays homage to, in all of the books that I've read about him, he talks about Hank Williams, Bob Wills, and all those guys. So,
and believe it or not, Chuck Berry and Jimi Hendrix, both as early teenagers, loved Bob Wills and his Texas Playboys. They listened to that music.
That influence runs deep, doesn't it?
It really does. Chuck's first big hit, Maybelline, was based off of Bob Wills' Ida Red. Can you believe that?
I didn't know that. See, I learned something new every day. Thank you.
That's what we aim to do on this show here. So it took us, let's see, an hour and 8 minutes, but hopefully we did it. We did something that encouraged folks today. Billy, before we get out of here, let's let folks know how most of the people watching probably know, but if they don't, how can they listen to you?
Well, first of all, the initial broadcast is on KSSLFM.com or a free mobile app anywhere. And that's Saturday mornings, 10 to noon Central Time. And you carry it Sunday evenings or Sunday mornings.
Yes. We're at 1 p.m. Eastern, noon Central. And again, Tuesdays at 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 Central. That's ruralstrongmedia.com. And just click on the Rural Strong Radio tab or get the Live 365 streaming radio app for your mobile device. And go listen to some Billy Bowles swinging country. Great way to spend your Sunday or your Tuesday or your Saturday on Kathy Jules KSSL FM. Listen to it all those times.
Two things real quick, if you don't mind. We was talking about all this talent from West Texas. Let's not forget Jimmy Dean, Plainview.
Oh yeah,
and that's close, not too terribly far from Turkey either.
Right.
And the parade in Turkey. If you've never gone to that parade, it's absolutely amazing for a small town parade.
Yeah, we've got some special guests coming this year. Antina Cattle Company is helping us put on the parade this year. Right after the parade, we've got a car show, the Bob Wheels car show. We'll line the streets like they used to back in the day, in the heyday. So it's some good old American fun happening.
Did you say Bob Wheels car show?
Bob Wheels car show. Yep.
I always make sport of it and call it Bob Wallace and the Plowboys.
Yeah. I think we should put Carly in one of those banners and she should be the perpetual queen of the parade.
No, okay. You guys just keep giving me more to talk about. We have some wonderful people at the Stay All Night Bunkhouse that help us fund a scholarship for the Bob Wills Day King and Queen, and they're high school students from the surrounding communities, and they get a scholarship and get to ride in the parade on a literal crown. And this year we've always had a queen since the very, very first Bob Wills Day. We've always had a queen. This year we have our very first king scholarship, and it's particularly impactful because it's named after Navy SEAL Gage Ingram that passed away this year. His father is a longtime supporter of Bob Wills Day, and we were able to honor him with our very first Bob Wills Day King. And so we do have a queen. It's not me. We've got some more deserving people of that. But come see him ride on a crown, on a literal crown down the middle of the street.
And haven't y'all renovated and reopening the old barber shop there in downtown Turkey?
We have not done that, but Mr. Mike Goldsby that owns the Phillips 66 station, he's been hard at work getting that place back together. You know, it has historic significance to Bob Wills and his career. He'll have it open this weekend. It's got a historical marker, so we encourage everybody to stop in there and shake his hand and tell him thank you for all he's done putting that back together.
What's the name of that barber shop again?
Ham's Barbershop.
Ham's Barbershop, yeah.
And if you go to that gas station at certain times, I don't know the times, but our friends and members of our artist Clarksville Creative Sound label artists, Mackenzie and Austin McKetty, will be performing out there on the little stage.
I think we're also going to be playing some songs at the barbershop too. So
they're going to be all over the place.
They're real special performers. I encourage everybody to go catch them. We're big fans of them.
Well, and we're following Mackenzie's trajectory through the Miss Oklahoma pageant. And she's got a very good chance of winning this thing with her talent and her charisma. She's such a fine young lady, and we're proud of her. And so we're anxious to see how all that turns out.
Well, y'all, we could talk about Bob Wills all day long, but one of us has to go start putting up bunting so that everybody knows where to park. So,
all right. Well, thank you, Carly, so much for taking the time to join us. And again, everybody, make sure you make your way to Turkey, Texas next week, and we'll get a recap from Billy Bowles here coming up here in a couple of weeks. We'll find out about his trip to Turkey. I know he'll be talking about it on the upcoming Billy Bowles Swinging Country. Billy, thanks so much for joining us.
It's been my pleasure. Thank you for asking me.
And Mike, thank you for popping in here in the midst of Track Mania.
Thank you. Thank you, Carly.
And Steve, before we get out of here, anything else that we need to touch base on?
Well, I have to remind everybody that the tickets are on sale, and go get your tickets for the Birthplace of Western Swing Festival that takes place in November 7th, 8th, and 9th. There's still a few tickets left. You don't want to miss that. It's right behind Bob Wills Day in Turkey, Texas. It's I would say the championship playoff as to Western Swing, as Bob Wills Day in Turkey is the Super Bowl. So 3 super packed days of great entertainment, including this year a special guest going to be Junior Brown and his wife Tanya Ray. What an entertainer he is, and of course you got all kinds. We've got a band from Italy, right, Mike?
Yes, Mary Lee and Caesar's Cowboys. They are fabulous. They're Europe's #1 Western swing band, and they play like an old vintage 1930s string band sound. And Carly, if you can make it, we'd love for you to come to our festival. I'll comp you a VIP ticket.
We're happy to. Well, this year we really think we might be able to get down there. There's a couple of us that have been talking about it. I may or may not help control the schedule over at the Hotel Turkey so that we can have a light weekend, and maybe we can make our way down to Fort Worth.
If you come, let me know, and I'll get Trent Gilly to come over too.
Hey, I'm going to tell him he was on a TV show today. I love it. Okay.
I need to reach out to Trent anyway. I haven't talked to him in a while. But yeah, so get your tickets for that. So many other great acts. We got let's see, Dave Alexander, I think, is going to be playing. And of course, the big boys, Billy Mata, Jake Hooker, Jody Nix, Jason Roberts, and yours truly. We're going to have a slot there. We always appreciate you letting us play there on Friday at 5:30. Me and my brand new A-list band with Carl Vaughn at the helm. and Kurt Ryle, of course, and never know who we're going to bring along to get up there with us. So it's going to be a fun 3 days. So get your tickets at birthplaceofwesternswing.com. Go on that website, buy your tickets, and be there or be square, right? So
that's right.
And otherwise, Clarksville Creative Sound, of course, a lot of things going on. We got Jasmine McDonald coming into the studio this weekend. Haven't seen her in a while. She's been real busy. You know, she turned 18, graduated from high school, she got 2 jobs. She's working, and so she's been kind of off the radar for a while, but she's coming back in, I think, to record some songs that Kurt has written for her. So we're happy to have her back in the fold. And then, of course, we've got Kurt's in the studio constantly recording new music, and we're working on the pilot for this TV show, Small Town Sound. Tommy Snyder is now taking personal control of this thing and kind of is our main producer of this thing, along with Josh Hallas. And couldn't be more excited. We did some more days worth of shooting last week, and the show's going to be great. We're excited about that. We're excited about the network as a whole. And as soon as we know exactly when the hard launch of the network is, we'll let you know. You can see it now in its basic format. If you go to acncountry.com, mainly what you'll see is a lot of music videos and a few syndicated shows that are on there now. But eventually it'll be a full-blown network with great programming and original content from shows like ours, and they've got quite a few other things happening there as well. We'll have countdowns, both indie countdowns and mainstream countdowns and things like that. But just know that I'm going to be pushing like crazy always to get our music out there and keep it out there in the forefront, the Western swing and traditional country. And so we're excited about that.
Thank you, Brent. Bye-bye.
That's the way it should be. Hey, we appreciate you guys coming on here. Steve, we got to make note of one more thing before we get out of here. If I can find it now. I tell you, everything's moved around on me here. Hey, there is one less snake in the state of Texas.
Ooh.
Where is that?
That comes from Dina Wood, and I know she's on here, so I had to share this. We saw this last night. She said that they had been trying to corner the snake for about 3 years and finally caught it trying to get into their hen house.
What kind of snake is that? I don't know my snakes.
It's a chicken snake.
Oh, so it's not poisonous.
And it's eaten a lot of their eggs and a lot of done a lot of menacing over the last few years. And I'm guessing that top picture, that's probably Dina's feet right there. But I wonder, she owns like 500 pairs of cowboy boots, but she went around that snake in sock feet.
Yeah, I don't know. Sometimes I wonder about Dina. She's got to be half crazy to work with you and I. But no, we love Dina, and I guess that's Jim there holding that snake.
Yes, that absolutely is.
Jim deserves a Purple Heart just for hanging in there. So,
well, I couldn't get out of here without sharing that here because I got tickled when I read that and saw those pictures here last night. But she said, "I ain't scared." I guess that's Dina on here. It always says Facebook user, but I always know when it's her.
Scared. Well, all right. Well, listen, I want to thank again Carly and Billy for joining us, and Mike, thanks for jumping on, and have fun at your track meet down there. Tell all your Baylor buddies hello, and thanks everybody for let's just keep things rolling here, and it's going to be a grand time in Turkey, Texas.
Absolutely, and we'll talk more about it next week, next Friday, 10 a.m. Central. Be back here for another Fort Worth Musical Moments. So for Steve Marquardt, for Carly Dumino, for Mike Marquardt and Billy Bowles, it's Brent Adams. Have a great week. We'll see you next week for more.
You've been watching Fort Worth Musical Moments, a production of Rural Strong Media and Clarksville Creative Sound, copyright 2023. Please join the Fort Worth Musical Moments Facebook group and join us each Friday at 10 a.m. Central as we introduce you to another key figure in Fort Worth's musical heritage.